Imagine an entertainment industry bigger than the Hollywood and the global music business combined. That is the gaming industry. In fact, gaming is now the largest entertainment market on the planet thanks to the pandemic. An estimated 3 billion people play games today, from console and PC games to the massive mobile gaming audience. India exemplifies this boom. With affordable smartphones and cheap data, India's gamer base has ballooned to over 590 million active gamers, making it one of the world's largest gaming markets. The Indian gaming industry reached about $3.8 billion in annual revenue in 2024 alone and is projected to hit over $9 billion within a few years. This industry wasn't always this big. Some games had to crawl, so games like PUBG and GTA could fly. In the 1980s, arcade machines and 8-bit consoles were a budding market. Tetris, a game which was born behind the Iron Curtain in 1984, became a worldwide phenomenon with over 520 million copies of Tetris that have been sold in the years since. By 1990, Nintendo's mascot Mario was more recognizable to American kids than even Mickey Mouse.
Oh boy!
A testament to how games embedded into global pop culture. By the early 2000s, gaming had officially become mainstream and everyone had a smartphone in their pockets with games that were more accessible than ever before. Today, launches of the big games rival movie premieres in both hype and revenue. When Grand Theft Auto 5 released in 2013, it grossed $1 billion in just 3 days, becoming the fastest selling entertainment product in the history. But beyond these staggering numbers, there is a human question. Why are games so appealing? Why are they so addictive? To answer that, we don't need to look at more charts. We need to look inside what happens in the human brain. We're very excited to be a part of the Zerodha Media Network. Together, Zerodha and we will bring you well-researched videos on careers, different industries, and the evolving job market. When you play a video game, you're tapping into some of the same reward circuits that helped our ancestors survive and learn. What I mean is, modern games are not random. They're engineered to be fun and engaging. Their powers come from the fundamental brain chemistry and psychology. Look a little closer and you'll see that inside our skulls, a chemical symphony is playing every time we have fun. One of its star performers, dopamine, which is often called the brain's reward molecule. This is the same chemical that makes us feel good when we eat or achieve something in real life. Games are designed as a series of challenges and rewards which are essentially a dopamine delivery machine. It's much like a slot machine that keeps gamblers pulling the lever again and again. Think of Tetris, the game. You rotate and stack falling blocks and your brain cannot help but start anticipating patterns. Play enough and you will literally start seeing those shapes falling in your dreams.
Brains are plastic and you can feel your brain getting reprogrammed. I remember the first time this happened to me when Tetris first came on the scene. I'm sure you've had, anybody who's been a game player has this experience where you close your eyes to lay down to go to sleep and you see all the little blocks moving and you're kind of rotating them in your mind, and you can just tell as you walk around the world that you have rewired your brain to play Tetris.
People call it the Tetris effect. Your brain adapts to any repetitive task we practice intently. In fact, when people played Tetris soon after a traumatic event, it appeared to disrupt the formation of traumatic memories, resulting in fewer flashbacks of their trauma.
Games have power to distract people from stressful situations. Battleship got me through my parents' divorce. Operation got me through my vasectomy.
Yet, there is a flip side too. Our brains respond to gaming as if they were real, especially when it comes to stress and arousal. Ever felt your heart pound or palms sweat in an intense game? That is your fight or flight response in action. The brain's emotion center, the amygdala, cannot distinguish between a digital threat and a physical one. If a game depicts danger, the body thinks you are in actual danger. When gaming stretches late into the night, day after day, the brain can enter a state of chronic hyperarousal where sleep grows shallow, emotions fray, and focus quietly slips away. This time, the same reward circuits that force you to keep playing can become a double-edged sword. The world World Health Organization now recognizes gaming disorder as a behavioral addiction. The mechanism is similar to substance addiction. The more you chase the gaming high, the more your brain links gaming with pleasure, driving you to seek it again and again. But for the vast majority of players, gaming is a healthy hobby, not an addiction. The key point here is that gaming at its core gives us what life often doesn't. Clear goals, instant feedback, and the thrill of winning without the real world risk. And that is the exact reason why our brains light up, because long before we had screens, we were solving problems, building strategies, and learning from failure. From the very beginning, we have been wired to play.
Hey gamers, before you jump into your next GTA 6 video, here's a quick heads up. Mobile gaming in India is huge, with games like Prince of Persia and Call of Duty all available on your phone, and also the fact that cloud gaming is becoming better. We're getting console level titles to play, but let's be real, the touch experience sucks. And that's where Headshot comes in. Plug in your phone, open the Headshot app, and instantly transform your device into a fully fledged gaming console. You get access to over 500 games, and the best part is you can even charge your phone while you're playing. No more low battery interruptions. Are you ready to level up your mobile gaming? If yes, then use the code FD1000 at checkout and get 1000 rupees off on your purchase. And now, back to the video.
For some, gaming is not just a hobby anymore. It is a full-time career. Competitive gaming or esports has turned top players into a new kind of athlete, e-athletes, backed by sponsorships, team salaries, and tournaments in packed stadiums. At the same time, a new wave of creators has turned gaming into content streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and beyond. What started as people casually playing games on camera has now become a full-blown industry with sponsorships, audiences in millions, and serious money involved. But here's the real question. In a world where everyone's chasing the gamer dream, how many actually make it past the loading screen? But first, let's consider esports for a second. The scale of esports today is mind-boggling. Tournament prize pools have reached sporting record levels, where in 2021, Dota 2's World Championship, the International, offered a record-breaking $40 million in prize pool money, with the winning team, Team Spirit, taking home $18 million from that single tournament. And it's not just Dota. Top players across games like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, and Valorant can earn millions per year through a mix of salaries, sponsorships, and prize winnings.
A major World Cup has just wrapped up in Saudi Arabia. Not your football or hockey World Cup. This was a gaming World Cup. That's right, a World Cup for esports. And before you dismiss it as a gimmick, listen to the numbers. The tournament had 21 gaming events, more than 1,500 players, more than 200 gaming clubs, nearly 500 million viewers, and $60 million in prize money. The Wimbledon prize pool is $66 million. The Cricket World Cup had $10 million, and esports had $60 million. It tells you how big this industry is.
Listen to it again.
More than 1,500 players.
1,500 players. Quite a big number, right? No. Out of those 1,500, many were invited pros and renowned players, but only around 30 reached the final stages. Given these figures, it's easy to see why young gamers idolize esports stars. The top pros are actually treated like celebrities. They stream to huge audiences, have fan followings, and even get sports visas to compete internationally. In countries like South Korea, pro gamers have been mega celebrities for years now, with TV coverage and fan clubs. Even in India, where esports is still growing, names like Jonathan, Scout, and Mortal have massive fan bases among the youth today. It's reported that elite Indian esports athletes can earn 30 to 40 lakh rupees in a month from team salaries, sponsorships, and streaming deals, and in exceptional cases, some have crossed 1 crore in a single month. Imagine being in your early 20s and earning more than most doctors, engineers, or MBAs. That is the kind of success the top 1% of gamers in India are seeing today. However, the reality check is only a tiny fraction of gamers will reach those heights. For every breakout star, there are thousands and thousands of gaming aspirants grinding in the ranked ladders of minor tournaments. The odds of going pro are dauntingly low, comparable to trying to play in the national cricket team or becoming a rock star. Also, most esports players are done by their early 20s. Unlike traditional sports where athletes might compete into their 30s, esports reflexes are often set to peak early. And players in their mid-20s 20s are considered veterans already. Practicing 8 to 12 hours a day, coping with high pressure to perform, and the repetitive strain from the screen, it all starts to take a toll eventually. It's said that esports careers burn fast, faster than the NFL players. And beyond age, job stability is also a major issue. Esports is a young industry and can be super volatile. Teams form and disband, sponsorships come and go, games' popularity can flame out, and even the games themselves can vanish. A sobering example, PUBG Mobile, the very game that launched many Indian esports careers, was suddenly banned by the government in 2020 due to geopolitical concerns. In an instant, professional players saw their game and their only source of income completely disappear from the market. While it later returned as BGMI, the interim forced many to adapt. Some switched to other games, others doubled down on content creation, and some just quit. We've also seen incidents where cheating scandals ended careers overnight. For instance, an esports player from India, Forsaken or Nikhil Kumawat, was caught using hacks during a big tournament, leading to his immediate ban and even his team getting disbanded in disgrace. The competitive integrity in esports is taken as seriously as in any other traditional sport, so one act of cheating or even exploiting a glitch can mean permanent exile. Life as a pro gamer can certainly be thrilling, global travel, crowds cheering, and the rush of victory. But behind the scenes, it's often a tough grind. Many aspiring players train for years and still never land a salaried spot. Some make it to smaller teams, but the pay is still very low. In India, a new player might earn 25 to 30,000 rupees a month, barely enough to live on in a big city. And that's only if they're lucky enough to get signed in the first place. One former world champion quipped that when he turned pro, gaming stopped being his stress relief hobby and became the source of stress. Given these challenges, it's no surprise that many pro gamers eventually pivot to content creation or other careers in the gaming industry. A lot of the names we mentioned, Mortal, Scout, and many others have now shifted from competition to creation. They stream, they vlog, they entertain. And in doing so, they've tapped into something even bigger, the creator economy. No one embodies that shift better than PewDiePie. He started out as a college dropout recording game videos in his bedroom. No big budget, no team, just a single guy with a webcam and a wild sense of humor. And somehow, that was enough to build one of the biggest YouTube empires in history. Over 110 million subscribers. A fan-driven battle with T-Series that captured the entire internet. And today, he's living in Japan, happily married, raising his son, still creating, but on his own terms. He turned gaming into freedom. That should be the dream. Not to chase prize money, but to build something lasting. Because tournaments come and go, but an audience stays if you're real with them. The gamer dream versus the reality is a bit like aspiring to be a professional athlete or even an actor. Only the top 0.1% enjoy the fame and fortune. That said, gaming as a career is far more viable now than it was a decade ago. In fact, in 2023, our Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi sat down with professional gamers, asking them about their careers, their families, and how society perceives them. That conversation marked something important. Gaming had entered the national spotlight. So the next time someone tells you gaming is just a waste of time, you might remind them this waste of time is now bigger than the film and music industry combined. It's teaching neuroscientists new things about the brain, and for some, it's even a full-time job. Overall, gaming is as real as any other human pursuit, and it shows no sign of slowing down. My name is Lavina Kamath, and this was your Full Disclosure.